don't take pictures of. Important.
Not only Europe.
Another special service was called Gauss. Instead of window, there's only small out discharge from outside by metal box in which only holes are small holes. The people go inside.
They are ready for us, and on the way to the hotel I'm going to explain the rest of the day, the tomorrow's day, give you some information about the hotel, about the city of Krakow as well.
Ah, perché non ha preso questa qua?
Sì, sì, perciò bravo.
Good morning. It's Friday the 25th of June 2010. We are now in Krakow. This morning we're doing a optional tour of Krakow, and this afternoon Brian is going to the salt mine in Vicenza or somewhere like that.
This is our room.
This is our room.
Not particularly, oh sorry, bed's not made, but not particularly large is the bedroom, but we've got this large foyer hall and the bathroom and toilet through there, so not too bad. Beds all look a bit creaky and uncomfortable, but in fact we slept well. So off we go.
Zone, so no cars, no buses allowed there, but distances are really very short. So in the old town we'll start with the place which is called Wawel Hill.
So we're now visiting the Jewish quarter of Krakow, or the old Jewish quarter. There's very few Jewish people left, in fact in the whole of Poland, but this is the old quarter.
What did she say? Did she say something like that? Real center of the Jewish quarter. Right here this community lived till March of 1941. It was the 3rd of March when they were taken to the ghetto, about 2 kilometers from here. In the ghetto they lived till March of 1945. The street was built about 10 years ago, of course keeping the style of the street. Before there was nothing there, just a square. And during its... You want to try? Okay, no. Jewish style food. It's not kosher. It's just Jewish style.
This little house is where Helena Rubinstein was born.
And Helena, being in love with a poor medical student, decided to... Gravestones were destroyed during the Austrian occupation.
This was the original Jewish cemetery area.
65,000 Krakow's. And Remu is the name of a rabbi from the 16th century, Moses Zereles Remu.
This is the only working synagogue left in the city.
It's like a pilgrimage center for Jews from all over the world.
From Kazimierz were taken straight to different camps. For example, to Bełżec, to Auschwitz, even before the ghetto was opened. Those which were still here in 1941 were taken to the ghetto, and relatively Krakow's ghetto was small, comparing, for example, with Warsaw Ghetto. About 16,000 people lived in the ghetto, but in terrible living conditions. It was in 15 streets, in 320 houses. Houses which had maximum 3 floors. You will see in a moment. In December quotations. The Vistula River, Wisła in Polish language, and after crossing we are in Podgórze, in the ghetto, which now looks different, for example, because of that new hotel on our right-hand side. And please keep looking to your right-hand side. In a moment you will see a square which is full of chairs, heavy iron chairs. It's a ghetto memorial. I think that it's very special in its form, in its shape, and also very symbolic. It was right here on that square where those who survived the ghetto were gathered. The 13th of March of 1943, it was Saturday. They were gathered and told that it was to go to labor camps. So they brought suitcases full of things, chairs, small pieces of furniture, anything they could carry. And suddenly they were told to leave all those things behind, and they were taken back to extermination camps. So the square stayed empty, with empty chairs, empty forever, as those people never came back. It's quite a new memorial. It was erected about 6 years ago. And now on both sides you can see houses which stood inside the ghetto. It was like the main street in the ghetto. So once again, 16,000 people in 320 such houses. Some of them with 2 floors, but some of them only with 1 floor. On the small crossroad just in front of us, there was the end of the ghetto. So the wall was right here with one of those gates. So of course the ghetto wall for the movie Schindler's List had to be reconstructed, but they used many of the streets right here. So now we are outside the ghetto, but we are still in the same district, Podgórze district. It was founded by the Austrians, and then in the 19th century it was called Josefstadt. It's like the city of Joseph. In this way they wanted to commemorate one of their emperors. And looking to your left-hand side, you can see its center, a kind of a square, let's say kind of a market square, with a very beautiful church of Saint Joseph, also from the 19th century. Not very old, but beautifully situated. Behind it there's a huge park. It's a very nice place to have a walk. Krakow is a city of churches. There are almost 200 churches in Krakow. Many of them really the best. Once again we are crossing the Vistula River, and this time we are taking the nicest bridge in Krakow. Also new, also built after the Second World War, but the only one which was built in the shape, in the form of those old bridges which were here before the war, for example at the beginning of the 20th century. And now after crossing the river we are back to Kazimierz, but not its Jewish part, its Christian part. On our right hand side there's the 17th century church of missionary fathers. So Kazimierz as a city, as a district, always consisted of 2 parts, Jewish part and Christian part. From the documents we know that Christian part was 5 times bigger, but only because of its territory, because always more people lived in the Jewish one. Named in this way in the Middle Ages because then it led straight to the city of Krakow. And then it was also called the Salt Route, because this way salt from the salt mine that you will visit this afternoon was transported to Krakow. That mine belonged to our kings. It was a royal salt mine. It was a wonderful business because it was about 25% of their annual income. In those times, they used to charge the same for 1 kilogram of salt as for 1 kilogram of silver. That this is how the head of the local government is called. The first president of Krakow was Mr. Joseph Dietl, and he was also a doctor. And he noticed that people in Krakow were constantly sick, having problems with bones because of the humid climate of the city. So it was him who decided to regulate the Vistula River, to fill all those smaller parts of the river which divided Krakow into many small islands, and to leave only one main part of the river in the city, the one that we have crossed twice. Right here where we are now, before, there was no land, there was no avenue, but one of the parts of the Vistula River. And now this avenue is something like a border between two districts, Kazimierz on our left-hand side, the Old Town on our right-hand side. But before, the Vistula River was a border between those two independent cities. In a moment you will see it better, because I can see it, probably you not yet. So when we stop by that place, so it's one of those city parties. The biggest party along the river is every year on the first Saturday of June, because the first Saturday of June is an international Dragons parade here in Krakow, because dragon is a symbol. Often in his stomach he was very thirsty, so he went to the river and he started drinking, and he drank so much water that his belly became like a big bomb and he exploded. Started from here. Houses that you see on your left and in a moment also on your right hand side, these were first houses built along this avenue in the 19th century, and then it was a very luxurious place to live in Krakow. Now not really, and not because houses are old, but because the avenue is very noisy, very crowded. Sometimes it's like a constant traffic jam. And to the right, we need to turn right to enter the Old Town, and while turning right, please look to your left-hand side. On the other side of the avenue there is a huge building which was built in 1920. This is our National Museum, and mainly it's a department of modern and contemporary art. And now turning right, we are entering the Old Town. Looking at the map of Krakow, it's very easy to find the borders of the oldest part of the city, of the medieval city. The district called the Old Town now is bigger than the medieval city, because around that oldest part of the city there's a kind of the park, which is called Planty. So there's a green ring, green belt around the oldest part of the city.
Like we were farther. People that donated money.
On the wall you can see bones hanging on the chains. Original bones from ancient times of three animals, of a whale, of a mammoth. Silver was stolen during the Swedish invasion in the year 1702, but they left the bones on the floor, which means that all the relics are still here. In the silver one, which weighs 300 kilograms, so 300 kilograms of pure silver. Wow. royalty. They are reddish in color because made of the so-called red marble. While this Swatinian Europe and Lithuanian prince who married a Polish queen. It was the This is the one which was used by John II. The royal one on the left side, but the last royal chair in Krakow was destroyed in the 18th century. This time you present this fashion.
The crucifix is 600 years old.
Full of beauty, of constructing, because this king founded 37 new cities in Poland during 37 years of his reign.
Wow.
Busy.
Yes.
Knowing the amount of laboratories that he had very in the cathedral, we call it Citizen's Chapel because all the things in a moment when we are outside,
When passing by, you can see on the left triptych.
Hey?
Yes, we actually went to the Pope Divine Mercy Cathedral. Yeah. Then we're going to the
To może tam jest, można też takie kółko, tak? Nie może jakieś koła, to połałeś się kierunkiem.
During the war, this was called Adolf Hitler Square.
Sì. Rodzinna sensacja.
To nie, bo mnie
Good morning, this is Saturday, the 26th of June. It's 8 o'clock local time and we are leaving Krakow to go to Budapest. We're going to cross the border, go all across Slovakia and ended up in Budapest at about 5-6 o'clock in the afternoon.
Spire.
Which time is here first?
I think 2 o'clock.
No, it is not true.
Hi there.
The smell was all about. I wondered what it was.
There you go.
I learned this morning. You might leave it till later in the day.
South, and later on we are going to drive through Tatra area, Tatra mountains around us in Slovakia. So in these areas you can see a lot of posters, huh? That many posters we could not see. Police to the right hand side, control. A lot of posters, houses like this one to the right hand side, built recently, in the last 10 years, however in the original style. So we can see some economic activity going on. Try to remember the rest of Poland while we were driving through. Not that many posters, not that many new houses or houses looking this nice as here. Roads in far worse condition. All of that is a reflection of the standard of living of these people. So people here in these parts do a lot of job on in agriculture, you know, in raising the stock. However, here, you know, sell it to potential customers. Food produced here is produced many times in the original way. However, the taste of the food here in Poland, and especially in these areas, is great, you know, because there is not much of the use of technology. So this gives people, you know, economical stability. Truskavki preparing, the gentleman is preparing himself to sell some strawberries, for example. Not picked in the woods, like we've seen in on our way from Warsaw to Krakow. If you can remember, all these people just selling few baskets of blueberries or strawberries. No, these people grow them. Totally built out of wood. Only the roof is made out of copper. And this church is from 17th century and it is still in use. Okay? So, where did I see for the last time wooden church? I can't recall, apart from here, these areas of Poland. So we are going to see another church later on, and well, it is going to be also a very interesting one. Inside, that means what else than to listen to the prayer from speakers, because simply that many people can't fit into the church at the same moment, because the mass in these smaller areas is going in a different way. So, well, this is the church which is of the newer construction. However, so they mount speakers to make them to enable them to hear to the prayer of the priest. Here we can see already the spire. Pay attention, this church is totally built out of wood. Well, there is a little bit of addition to the architecture to the right. Jurek can stop you. So when it had to be extended, it was extended in a more, how to say, more modern way. However, the old church is right here, 17th century, you know, 100% built out of wood and still standing, still being in use, you know. So this is something what is, thank you, Jurek, this is something what is worth of seeing, you know. And then later on in, but we can't stop, you see, because if we stop we can cause a traffic accident, you know. Later on we are going to stop already in Slovakia at the village Bodil, where we are going to see also traditional architecture from Slovakian areas, architecture which hasn't changed throughout hundreds and hundreds of years.
So we've just stopped here, brief stop in Slovakia. The only other stop we'll make in this country is for lunch. And we've stopped here because it's a pretty little ornate village, waiting to safely cross the road. Obviously into wood carving in a big way here. Strange little place, isn't it?
Yeah, it's lovely.
Oh, it's a real well.
Some wooden thing here. God, it's going by money. Det man kan timma på wood.
Many parents go for rides to the
Yeah.
Everybody's taking photos.
Yeah, very careful. It's okay. Keep remembering.
Buzzy na radio.
This is something wonderful. To the right hand side, take a look at this fork holding, yeah? This is the mechanism for picking the water. And that is the rough proof that of Hungarian origin of this, you know, Hungarian influence visible through this element, let's say, of architecture. However, this is something unique in European measures. There are not many places where you can find the architecture of this type and only of this type, because this is the type of architecture which is protected. So you are not allowed to build in this little village anything more, because it has to be preserved as it is. And these houses old 300-400 years. So you can see ancient architecture. Everything was built either by the stone as the fundament and then up wood. Even the roof, everything. You could see no chimneys, because in those days people in these areas didn't build their houses like that. There was, and there is still there in the house, central stove, bread stove, which heated whole the house. Sometimes in addition to the house there is a shed. Zanda, Biel means white, so there is the hill here, Biel, this is Biel, hill, so the village under the hill Biel. In translation, I'm going to spell it P-O-D B-I-E-L. So that is the spelling of the village. P-O-D B-I-E-L. Pod Biel. Pod Zamok, under the castle. So how to say, village under the castle by the river Orava, in free translation. So we are going to see the castle from early medieval times, built upon the river. So it was a very good position, you know, to build a castle like that, to build a castle in Krakow, for example. Good, because from the castle you control the traffic on the river and you collect the money, unless, you know, sinking the boats was a regular phenomenon. And at the same time you are controlling the road. So here in the winter time, in the past, no one could pass because of the snow, huh? And people who wanted to pass from north due south or vice versa, you know, people doing trade business and so on, they were passing through these areas paying a lot of money, because this is one road and next road is 50 and even more kilometers due east or west, you know, so you have to pass at a certain point, and that means many people had to pass this way, and from this castle money was collected from the left and from the right. So very lucrative business in those days, you know, and also, how to say, the reason why the castle was built right here. Medium 2-3, how to say, gondolas, you know, driving people up to the castle, from the castle to the mountain and so on. You would have a museum of the castle. You would have 5-6 hotels which don't exist there. Not to mention restaurants, souvenirs, and take a look this scenery. Wow, you know, breathtaking, you know, in a good condition, you know, surprisingly good condition regarding the times of socialism and the World War going on here. So such a beauty, you know, and still not used in a proper way. But I say, give these Slovaks a little bit of time, and then one day we are going to come through here in, I don't know, 5-10 years and find, you know, hotels and all these equipment. There is some wall for free climbing to the right hand side. To the left, smaller ski lift for unexperienced skiers, for children. Also some kind of building with some toys around it for children. New building, very nice. After this corner, to the right hand side, we are going to see the hotels, some of them built in a new way, some of them out of wood, some of the private pensions. Some more ski lifts here to the left. So a beautiful area. Internationally visited. During the summertime we don't see that much of the visitors, however during the winter time the main season is on. Yeah. Here to the right.
Is it Donnerally?
Architecture, mountain style, definitely. And then from here in half an hour we should be in our restaurant for lunch. Bear in mind we are going to have the dinner this evening included in our hotel, and well, this is going to be a lunchtime. Our dinner is going to be something like 7 o'clock or so. Interesting thing is a castle, and that's it. For swimming also, you know, or bathing, you know. Yes. Take 1 hour, it must take. So when we finish with our lunch, we are going to be out, enjoy the sunshine. You are going to enter here to the right hand side immediately when you enter to the left-hand side. The toilets, use them unisex, use them, you know, use them full stop.
So we're just arriving in Budapest, actually arriving on the Pest side. We're going to cross the bridge to get over the Danube to get to Buda, and it's about 5:15.
Yeah, to the left-hand side. Yeah. Wow, we saw that in Frankfurt, in Berlin. Many people drinking beer and pedaling for the same purpose, to get somewhere. I don't know. One must be, however, sober and drive the thing. Passing by this big center here, amusement park, yes. And this is the area also where the Széchenyi spas are. So must be some concert or so, because Hero Square is right there, and well, never mind, we are going to make our way to our hotel. We are going to make our way to our hotel without any problems. How to say, Margaret Island, which people enjoy all kinds of sports. And then take a look to the right hand side. This is for the first time what I see, something like that. This is not a bus, no, this must be a boat.
Bet Giorgio could do it.
Boat in the shape of a bus. Hey, let's do it on our own, huh? I mean, if they can do it, we can do it also.
Okay, let's try.
So this is the Danube. We're on the Pest side, going across to Buda.
The bridge is closed and we're going to hit the other one, but this is the Margaret Bridge, which leads to the other side of the city, to the Buda side.
So this divides the Buddha and the...
River divides Buda. Buda is to the right hand side, and Pest is the part of the city where we are at the moment.
What's this
This building in front of us is the Houses of Parliament, constantly under the reconstruction and so on. We are going to hit the Chain Bridge in front of us, the oldest bridge in the city. To the right hand side, seeing at the... this is beautiful. Come on. This is Fisherman's Bastion, and the highest spire is the spire of the St. Matthias Church. We are going to cross the river in a few minutes, and then we are on the way to our hotel. Cosmos in front of us. Haha. Who is that? Let me think. Making a total round, leaving behind us Pest and 3 years old hotel of the Four Seasons, and now we are going to drive over the bridge with lions as guards, tongueless lions. Yes, the oldest bridge. Well, it was, demolished during the World War II. All of the bridges were demolished. There was not one bridge because, there were fights. Soviets were coming from behind us, and the Nazis were on the Buda side, so they had better, view over the city. But the Soviets were rushing, and then Nazis blew the bridges, or both sides blew them actually during the fights. So it was really, really bad. Funicular, which goes up to the castle district.
Good memory. There's some ridiculous.
There was another wedding. Yeah.
So we're on the 10th floor of our hotel, so we get a good view across. We're on the Buda side, so that's looking across towards Pest, I think. Very nice properties, if they are private properties around. I guess they are.
Okay, so we are going to stop for a second just to let some of us off, and then we are continuing driving. Danube River can be cruised by boats which are of greatest proportions for river, and then from here to, let's say, German town Passau, smaller boats, and then from Passau on only very, very small boats. Yeah.
Company nowadays it's turned into a luxurious hotel, the most luxurious hotel in the whole town, and that is the Four Seasons Grasham Palace. Ahead of you, you can see the most beautiful pearl necklace over the Danube River at this section of the Danube for sure, and that is the Chain Bridge, our first permanent bridge on the Danube River. It was built in the middle of the 1800s, and it has actually more than 2,000 light bulbs altogether. So it really, really looks like a pearl necklace. I can tell you that this city, it's actually looking completely different during the nighttime than it does during the daytime. So those of you who are going to have the city tour tomorrow, you can up later on the left-hand side.
So this is the hotel.
On the right, you still can see the palace, the royal palace. From this point you can see very clearly that we not only have one palace, but actually 3 different palaces built on top of each other. That's because during the centuries we used to have lots of wars, riots, revolutions, and they were all the time demolishing bits and pieces, then they were rebuilding the rest of it, and they were practically just recycling the old building materials, so they were actually building on top of each other the new palaces. So right now what we can see on the top of the Nazis, but after communism finished here, then that was the time when we demolished all the Soviet communist statues, and she was the only exception. We covered her with a white sheet, and then for a while we were actually joking around that that's the ghost of Tommy, which got the beautiful illumination only last year. And on the top of the bridge on the right you can see the famous Spa Hotel, Gallier, G-E-L-L-E-R-T, the most famous Spa Hotel, beautiful Art Nouveau building. And on the left-hand side we can see, just on the other side you can see the University of Economics, and just across on the river on the right-hand side you can see the University of Engineering, the Technical University, which is the oldest university and the biggest in town as well. Just in front of the university building you can see a construction going on, and you may wonder what's that? Well, we are building right now our 4th metro line, and they are going to have one station there, then they are going to bring the tunnel underneath the Danube River, and then they are going to have the next stop just in front of the Economical University. Modern exhibition hall and concert hall built together. Actually, it's one of the most well-known concert halls in Europe. It is a great honor for a musician.
Actually, I find without the flesh is better.
Are burnt out.
Because the flesh don't reflect on it.
Now this place is very poorly lit, don't you think? See, all of these domes, these little domes, they can hit them on that side as well as this one here, from the front.
Rather mild temperature. Well, it was not freezing, so very easy to remember and orientate yourself. And then later on in the evening we are leaving for the Hungarian evening, a beautiful evening we are going to spend together. So
what happened was there were 8.
this
The little town is 20 kilometers away from Budapest, or if you hear a village is 60 kilometers away from Budapest, then that distance is always measured from right that spot. And now we are on Chain Bridge. If you look at them, these metal parts of the bridge on the two sides, those are actually, they work like chains. So this is the very first bridge of the city. It has lots of stories, and this was the bridge that connected Pest and Buda, the two sides of the city. They were they were united only in 1873, so that was the year when Budapest as such was born. Earlier, these two towns, they were separate towns. Buda was the capital and Pest was a little provincial town. In front of us you can see Hotel Intercontinental. This is going to be an important meeting point for us. This is where we are going to finish our sightseeing tour, and this is the place where Vince will pick you up at 4 o'clock. The Ballet Institute, two wonderful
the Opera House.
Buildings of our musical life. The Opera House was built in 1875. That was the year when it was completed. You know, our Opera House is in big competition with the one in Vienna. For instance, this building on our left-hand side is grayish, bluish building. That's called the House of Terror. And you can see on the ground floor, you can see many little pictures on the walls. The House of Terror is one of the most important museums in Budapest because it's dedicated to the victims of communism. You know, Hungary was for 40 years was a communist country, and tens of thousands of people were killed who were victims of communism. They tried to oppose the political system, and that was not tolerated at all. Imagine the interesting thing about the building is that actually not even the neighbors didn't know what was going on in that building. In the basement of that building, the secret police was torturing people, and lots of people were killed there. The avenue is called Kodály Circle, and I wonder if you've ever heard of Kodály. Have you ever heard his name? Zoltán Kodály. Maybe you've heard of Béla Bartók. Bartók is much more well known than Kodály, although they were colleagues. Both of them were musicians and composers and teachers of music in 20th century Hungary. Why we appreciate them so much is that in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, they were touring the Hungarian countryside, and they collected thousands and thousands of Hungarian folk songs. They read a very simplified version of the Kodály method, you know, like first teaching only 2 tunes, then 3, 4, 5. So it's if you ever see that musical again, then pay attention to what method she uses, and then you'll understand really simplify the basic idea of the Kodály method. It's used all over the world, also in the USA and Canada and Australia, so in most of the English-speaking countries, and it's most popular. The method is most popular in Japan. So there are several institutes in Japan where they use the Kodály method. Ironically, the method is not so well known in Hungary, so it's much better known abroad. In 20 minutes, and then we'll leave the place at 9:15. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's last night there was a Rod Stewart concert. Hungarian Telephone organizes a free concert here, so that's why they are there in the park. Yesterday we had some statues in the back row, teaching us that they are important kings of Hungary.
Normal ya bizimkiler. Kahramanların da.
Dedim ya nasıl çıkarmışlar.
It's not my favorite, but it's very famous, and its emblem is 2 elephants, and you can understand why if you look at this wonderful building on our left hand side. It's the zoo. And this is the entrance to the zoo, a wonderful place, not only for lovers of animals, but also for people who like special architecture, because the zoo was built in a special Art Nouveau style. That's the elephant's house. I wouldn't mind living there myself. It's so pretty. And there are many similar style buildings there. This is just one of those beautiful buildings. If you look at the roofs, at those colorful tiles, they are a Hungarian invention called pyrogranite. And these colorful, shiny tiles, they are very characteristic of Budapest. White building right now, that's a carousel from the mid-19th century. It has won many prizes, and very often it's used, you know, in Hungarian films, and on Saturdays I can always see brides and grooms here having their picture taken before their wedding ceremonies, so it's becoming a very popular, which makes life you know, not so enjoyable from Monday to Friday. So more and more people are moving out of the city to the little villages and towns surrounding Budapest. So around 10 euros, 10-12 euros the entrance for one person, so it's not bad at all. Please don't miss the beautiful building on the left-hand side, that castle-looking building behind the trees. I'm sorry about the construction area, but the castle itself is very beautiful. It was built for decoration. It's a Cinderella castle. It was a long Hungarian name, but I don't even want to make you tired with it. You know, it was built in 1896, just like anything else that you can see around here. And most of the buildings that you can see, they are embassies. Many of them are galleries, lots of cafes. This is, on the Pest side, it is one of the most elegant areas of the city. And you know, our Andrássy Avenue is our Champs-Élysées, so it was designed to connect Hero Square with the heart of the city. And they designed 262 palaces for this road. And those 262 palaces, they were constructed within 20-25 years, so it was a huge achievement. But back then Budapest or Pest was such a small city that it actually, this area was, you know, outside of the heart of the city, and nobody wanted to live here. So people actually used these palaces as summer residences. Now that may give you an explanation why they needed the service roads. The two roads on the sides of the road, they are called service roads. Do you know what they were used for? If you think of 19th century Budapest.
For the political person.
No.
Probably for the night cart.
Do you know how people went to the city center? Back then we still didn't have our metro. On horseback. They used horses. So these were summer residences, and people wanted to use horses. And the two service roads on the sides of the road, they were used by the horses, by the riders, horse riders. Nowadays, as you can see, they are used by pedestrians and bicycles. But of course that was a completely different world. And black would be the last one. Now you can see this wonderful building with a sgraffito decoration. And then when all the layers are there, they start scratching off the different layers of paint. And of course, you know, it's about the tenth of a thousandth of a millimeter. You have to know how deep you can go to reach gold or to reach dark red. So it's a very special technique. This is Deák Square. On our right hand side you can see the red metro station. If those of you who want to use public transport to get back to the hotel, you'll have to take the red metro from this spot, Deák Square. This is a very typical area of Pest. If you look around us, and you can see buildings from the 1920s, these brown brick buildings, they are from the 1920s. The beautiful yellow building in front of us, that's a typical example of how wonderful buildings in Budapest can be saved. You can see that the renovation of the building was sponsored by Ford. by the company Ford. It happens very, very often in Budapest. There is wonderful buildings from the 19th century. You know, they need constant renovation, and of course it costs huge amounts of money. And very often, the people who live in the houses, they don't have money for it. In Budapest, you can see our synagogue. It's the largest synagogue of Budapest and the second largest synagogue of the whole world. We have many, many synagogues in the city, but this is the central synagogue. There are more than 5,000 seats there. It was completed in the mid-19th century, and even nowadays it's in use. It's always closed on Friday evenings, and on Saturdays it's closed because it's used for religious purposes. It was the largest in Budapest until the Second World War. There were many hundreds of thousands of Jewish people in Hungary, but in the most terrible chapter of our history, 600,000 Jewish people were killed in Hungary during the Holocaust, during the Second World War. But even nowadays, the people who managed to survive, who were rescued with the help of such people like, for instance, Raoul Wallenberg, many Jewish people managed to escape from the country, or they were rescued, they were saved. Most of them who survived the war, even nowadays, they live in this area, in the 7th district. So even nowadays, the locals refer to it as the Jewish Quarter. If you go for a walk here in this area, then even nowadays you can see many kosher restaurants and cafes and shops. So it's still called the Jewish Quarter. There are very interesting Jewish heritage walks in this area if you are interested in this mosaic of our history. So, ladies and gentlemen, once more I would like to show you Deák Square. So if you want to use the net of public transport to get back to your hotel, then you will have to take the red metro here at Deák Square. The metro station will be soon on our left-hand side, and it's the red metro line. So from Deák Square you will be able to take the red metro towards direction Déli, which means southern, and if you get off at Moscow Square, then you are actually 5 minutes away from your hotel, maybe 10 on foot. But just in brackets, the basilica is on our left-hand side, so you can see this immense church from the back now. This is going to be very, very close to our meeting point, so those of you who want to visit a Sunday Mass, then you can of course come to the Basilica. They have a service at 12 o'clock, for instance, but also in the afternoons at 4, 5, 6. So the Basilica is, there are services, but also it's open to visitors. There is no entrance fee. Only if you want to go to the cupola, in that case, you need to pay something like 200 for it, but it's really worth it because from the cupola you can see many, many beautiful parts of the city that are normally not visible from if you are just walking, or if you sit in the coach. Everybody was saying, oh, this flyover is the symbol of real existing socialism, like a great ideology and practice, never meeting in real life. So they actually had to take it apart and start again. And nowadays it's in use, of course, but whenever I see it, it always reminds me of the strange atmosphere of the 80s. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the governmental district, and most of the buildings that you can see around us, they are used by the Hungarian government, just like this magnificent building in front of us. And I hope it has 2 wings, because back then, when it was built, Hungary was a still much larger country. We lost 2/3 of our territories after the First World War, because Hungarians are not very good at international politics. We are always fighting on the wrong side. genocide, and that also happened in the First World War. After the war, Hungary lost 2/3 of its territories, and of course nowadays we have a ridiculously huge parliament for such a small country. We have 386 representatives, because the seats were, the number of the seats was defined still during the times of the monarchy, and the rule is that all the seats need to be taken, but actually nowadays we wouldn't use those, and soon, actually, if in 4 years' time, we will only have 200 seats for the representatives of the parliament. Children, so in Hungary, politics is a very, very hot issue, very touchy, very critical, and especially now with the new government, high expectations, many people being bitter about the old government. It's really not a good time to talk about politics, but I can tell you a little bit more about that later. But just now I would like to mention to you that in the parliament we have 698 rooms. So it's a huge building, and as I said, it will be only from the castle area that we'll be able to see it completely. On our right-hand side, on the Buda side, you can see Matthias Church and the colorful roofs of the church with Fisherman's Bastion. That's where we are going to walk. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are very attentive, now at the edge of the embankment you can see metal shoes. Did you notice those?
Yeah. Yes, it did.
That's a Holocaust memorial place. Gellert Hill, and on top of Gellert Hill, the Statue of Liberty. The white bridge on our left-hand side, that's called Elizabeth Bridge, and the one after it, the green one, that's called Liberty Bridge. But the symbol of Budapest is, of course, this one, Chain Bridge. So we left Pest behind, and we are again on the Buda side. We are driving up to the castle area, where I will invite you for a nice walk in the first district, the oldest district of the city. The waters and Florence on the plains and Buda on the hills has no rival, so you can imagine how beautiful it must have been. But as I said, because of our temper and because of our not so clever diplomacy and not so clever politics, our wonderful castle was destroyed. Ladies and gentlemen, on the left-hand side you can see Fisherman's Bastion. That's where I'm taking you soon. It's 800 years old. So nothing like that on the Pest. On the
It's the oldest house in Budapest, 800 years old.
It has been a restaurant for centuries. On the basement there has always been a restaurant, and in the first floor the family lived here. The interesting thing about this house is that all of them that you can see around here, each and every of them is connected to the system of caves that is beneath our feet. So actually, we are standing on a big piece of cheese.
Thank you.
Because Buda Castle is limestone, made of limestone, and on the Buda side we have a huge chain of hot water springs. If you add those two things, limestone and hot mineral water, you can imagine the water is washing out huge cavities. And actually many of our visitors come to Buda not because of the historic beauty, because they want to tour the caves.
Le rocce dolomitiche, il calcare, dell'altopiano.
Kikesi Zolikat az megkívánok. Jó lesz ilyen? És te vagy az egyedüli férfi ember, akkor neked kell szenvedni. This is the view Cast day, unfortunately, from a centre.
Nézzük meg a mágiás kápot.
Ma poi te fai da gratis.
Quando che senza giocare allora sono troppo a che non è
The old part of Budapest. This building was preserved from the war. It was the old Nazi headquarters, still full of bullet holes.
And just walking along a chain bridge, after the bridge you can just simply take the funicular.
So these shoes are a monument to the Jewish population that was brought here, I think having attempted to escape from the ghetto, and they were made to strip and then just pushed into the water. To the memory of the victims shot into the Danube by Arrow Cross militiamen 1944-45.
Wonderful city, beautiful. You are going to enjoy it because people enjoy it regularly. If the weather is like this tomorrow as well, not to mention, you know. The joke says two countrymen of mine talk to each other, and one says, "Do you know that Viennese Philharmonics are coming to our city?" And the other one says, "Don't worry, our club is going to score minimum 2-0.
So it's Monday the 28th and we're now on the motorway all the way to Vienna, just leaving Budapest. So it's going to be the warmest, sunniest day of the trip so far.
By the Danube Canal.
Now just entering Vienna.
%100% Sommer with Radio Arabella. Yeah. There is the Alte Donau. The Donau is German for the Danube. Yeah. On the Alte Donau, the old Danube, people like to swim here in Vienna, suntan, etc. This spire of the church in front of us is the spire of St. Stephen's. Very good, beautiful, beautiful church. This building on this on the left-hand side, this is Urania. It is one of the Viennese theaters, beautifully reconstructed 3 years ago. A masterpiece of the architecture. Take a look, Urania, to the left-hand side now. We are leading it back. The opposite side. So when you are coming from the city center, when you are coming from St. Stephen's Cathedral, go here we are passing to the right hand side, the ground which used to be the ground for the OPEC building. Now they moved a little bit while they are reconstructing, crossing the Danube Canal. Nice atmosphere on it, you know, these little how to say, docked boats. So on this
Unfortunately, the tower and frontage is covered with sort of scaffolding cover. See a lot of repairs going on. Here's an old painting, actually in a hotel foyer, but it gives a very good overview of old Vienna. See a very famous restaurant with Pavarotti and other stars here.
It's nice restaurant. Painting is a nice restaurant. Okay, we're ready.
Yeah, it's okay. Please, man. Yeah, please.
Come around. Yes, the stock of calèches and horses is doing well here. Obviously still very popular. Going along this passageway, working our way back to the Danube Canal, which is where we're leaving the bus for the tour.
Which way shall we go?
Right name. It was regulated like this in the second half of the 19th century. Australia had the cupola, its observatory Urania, built in Art Nouveau style of Vienna, and so it's around 1900. It's similar to Jugendstil in Germany, similar to Art Deco in France, and we turn also right. If you look from here, direction 10 o'clock, in the background you see part of the giant Ferris wheel, landmark of the Prater. Can you see it? Landmark of the Prater. This wheel, it was constructed 110 years ago, ideated by an English engineer, Bassett was his name. On the ring wheel, on our left-hand side, this big building, it was once the war ministry of the old monarchy. In 1918, after the First World War, Austria was an important empire in the middle of Europe. Vienna was the capital of this empire. So, as I've told you, 14 different nations living together. Parts of Russia, Italy, Poland, ex-Yugoslavia, Hungary, Bohemia, and so on, all belong to Austria, ex-Yugoslavia, and so on. So very different from Austria today. Austria today is a very small country with 8 million people only. Left hand, this is a museum. It's a very good museum of applied art, museum of industry. There are no paintings in, but good collections, carpets and furniture and so on. And we're just surrounding the oldest part of Vienna. Right from time to time, in the middle, you can see the steeple of St. Stephen's. So you must know, until 1850, here right, this was Vienna. That was the town of Vienna. Where we are going along, there were the city walls. Left outside, there was vineyards, there were fields, so that was countryside. As Vienna has been a residential city for the emperors of the Holy Roman Empire, Austrian Empire, so for more than 1,000 years. There were the emperors, there were the aristocrats, they had palaces. Many of them we have until today. Look here right. A fine example, the Coburg family, its Winter Palace on the former walls. So those people who had money enough, they had right here their winter palaces. Left outside, which was countryside then, golden, very romantic, standing with his violin in his hand, surrounded by the mixes of the Danube. But also nowadays concerts are organized there, mostly for our tourists, fine concerts. This is waltz music or Mozart music, Strauss and Mozart normally. During ball season, balls are organized in all these palaces. Well, we're coming now to a place which is named Schwarzenbergplatz, and there we turn left. For a few minutes we will leave the ring, hotel in Vienna, I'd say. Our high state guests stay overnight just in this hotel when they visit here. On our left-hand side, the equestrian statue, he is Schwarzenberg. Karl Schwarzenberg, he was a general in the Battle of the Nations, also against Napoleon, where Napoleon Bonaparte was defeated. See our fountain, big fountain, it's not on today. By the way, drinking water in Vienna is excellent. On all places you can drink our water. It's coming from the Alps, it's high spring water. And perhaps you can see from here in the back of this place, there is a monument. It's a column with a Russian soldier church. Left hand coming up such a big green dome, which is Karlskirche, Charles Church. Designed, by the way, by the same architect who had made also Schönbrunn Palace. Tomorrow, some of you are going to see Schönbrunn, summer residence of the Habsburgs. Also there, the architect, he was the Austrian architect Johann Bernhard Fischer von Erlach. Siegfreunde, Society of Friends of Music in Vienna. The entrance, main entrance is around the corner, just to your right. And there is in the beautiful golden hall where the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra gives the concerts. Also the Neujahrskonzert. Perhaps some of you go watch from time to time Neujahrskonzert, given always here the 1st of January. There used to be stations for the old city railway. Now the one is it's the subway stop, and the other one is a coffee house. Also, which is pedestrian zone between Opera House and St. Stephen's Church. The opera was the green roof, and then on the end our church, the St. Stephen's Cathedral. And still original, it's the facade here, right, with the arcades, and also the beautiful, very elegant festival staircase, the tea room, or the tea salon of the emperor. It's opposite the Museum of History, of Natural History. Both museums built on purpose to be a museum 120 years ago, but they're really palaces. Beautiful inside and excellent collections. In the middle between this monument, she's Maria Theresia.
These are twin museums, built as palaces, but twin museums.
Tomorrow about Maria Theresia, we'll hear about tomorrow. Right, where you see the greenish wing with the banners on the top. There are the offices of the president. He's Heinz Fischer, he's representative of the country. Freedom, Liberal, and also the Greens. Well, left coming up now. The Parliament building with the Greek goddess of wisdom in front, and the Nike she has in her hand, the goddess for victory. The tower left, it's not a church. It's, you see, no cross on the top, there's a man on the top. So it's our city hall, it's the city hall man. He has to watch Vienna, it's a landmark of Vienna. And the city hall park. Right, a very, very pretty garden. It's our Volksgarten, the people garden, the Rose Garden. Vienna is a green city. We have an area of 161 square miles, 440 square kilometers. More than the half of Vienna area is green. There are very many parks, gardens. Parts of the Vienna woods belong to Vienna. We have the beautiful green area of the Prater also, which is not almost only amusement park ground. There's also every evening music film festival. You see they're preparing with dance and so on. It's all free here and very lively in summer, always far after midnight also. Before Christmas there's Christmas market and so on. On the right hand side, coming up another elegant, beautiful coffee house, the Café Landmann. It was once the favorite coffee house of Sigmund Freud, who lived nearby. Nowadays, if you're lucky, you can meet here Carreras or Domingo and so on. They love this coffee house also. On the right hand side, rests of the old city walls. And one of the houses where Beethoven lived, his apartment on the top, is open to the public. And on the right-hand side, left-hand side, the main university, the main building, where very many students in Vienna. The ring now, go back left, parallel to the museums, where we get off them. The ring is not really shaped like a ring, it's shaped like a horseshoe, but close to a ring by the Quay of the Little Danube. It has a length of 5 kilometers, 57 meters wide,
And the animals you have seen on both sides, they were from the beginning reserved for the horse riders. Nowadays they are the path for our bicyclists or the cyclists. The church left, ahead is not that old. It's 19th century church. It's the votive church. People who like music, I can assure you, it's a very particular feeling. Well, back to Dona, parallel to the ring, to the museum. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, some words, facts, dates about Vienna and Austria, perhaps. Because this was already countryside. I've told you that the downtown area of today was Vienna, then the city walls, and then here that was fields, vineyards, and so on. Perhaps a few words, very briefly. I try to tell you history. Danube once belonged to the Roman Empire. So the Danube was the northern border of this empire, and along the Danube the Romans had their military camps established. Vienna was such a Roman military camp with the name Vindobona. The Romans, they were here about 5 centuries, and then they withdrew their troops to Italy of today again. Short moment. Vienna was... Thank you. Yeah, it's okay. Yes. Look here, right, these are, as I've told you, they were summer palaces. They belonged once to the nobility. Beautiful, all I use is, I've told you, for instance, right, this one with the figures on the top. It's now a ministry and so on. But very many were have until today. Maybe it's too much to maintain for this little country. But I've told you, they are in use. There are ministries, they have beautiful festival halls where they organize concerts in the evening, balls during ball season. If you'd like to dance, come back to Vienna during ball season. It's then very nice. You go there with long dresses, certainly. Also, young people like to go because at least one hall is dedicated to disco music. So you can change from waltz to disco and so on. The Palace of Justice, you're right, and the cupola ahead, it's already the Natural History Museum. Military camps Vindobona on the Danube. That was the time of mass migration, where the Bavarians, the Barbars, the eastern tribes from the steppes, as they were the Huns, the Tatars, the Avars, the Magyars were here. And the Magyars, they were defeated then by the German Emperor Otto the Great on the Battle of Nechven in the 10th century. And the country was given then to the Babenbergers. The Babenberg is a noble Bavarian dynasty. They were here on power for 270 years, from the 10th to the 13th century. So most important for the development of Austria in the Middle Ages they were. And in their times, see, yeah, or around the corner. Yeah, also, okay. So I continue then, ladies and gentlemen, we get off here. So we don't have the bus now, we have walk.
Again, remember I've told you on the bus, Hochburg, in Imperial City, in our city. So many different buildings. The oldest parts even date back to the time was founded already 800 in the 10th century. The capital was founded. The original crown. So continues there the whole route in all these directions. Here where you see the bells
Imperial Apartments and the Sissi Museum. These are Roman remains.
Well, a white one for there, maybe.
Yeah, it's that.
Oh my God. Yeah. And another one here. Another one there. There he is. Want to take a picture of him? $1679, there was a big plague. That's the monument to recall it.
Here's our little Stephansgilde, the western facade, the entrance facade. Okay, but we're going. Look with me. Inside these photos are allowed, flash is allowed.
Photos are ours? They are allowed. We're taking pictures of them. So now, yeah, we were taking pictures.
Up to the white stripe, the second for the basket, the third for the again, it's very elegant. It's for the first little organ here in the church, the base. On the other side is singers' tribune for a choir, a balcony. Later, whether the voice sang from there. I think you have seen most of these altars. They are made in Baroque. Baroque, I think it's senseless to explain, was much later. Baroque in Austria was roughly 1650 to 16. Gothic, a double-winged shrine altar. It was a donation by Frederick III, Emperor. He was Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire until 1493. He had founded some monasteries, and for one monastery had given this altar. It's dedicated to the life of the Virgin. Scenes of her life, you can see the shrine, the figures are carved in wood and painted. Nice coronation to the Theobald in the middle of the hall. Our country, Lower Austria, is given the mark of the road, it's the light doesn't, it's not on today, but this is the cover, that is the lid. So you see the Emperor, the portrait, the crown, the insignia, the Holy Roman Empire, the sword scepter, coat of arms around, and his motto is also written there, it's hard to see, but it was AEIOU, like a shoemaker, like a dressmaker, but very elegant. Here the early Gothic S shape that frames the
fashion of the shoes of the time. And I like the keystone portrait of Holy Catherine. And this is the baptism font. The font is also it's not marble, 15th century panels, and 1 ton was lost. There were originally had 22. This has 21 tons in the North Tower now. I show you then.
Sets in a moment, and then later on I'm going to go through everything with you, so give me 5 minutes. We are leaving for our hotel, and you know, Giorgio and me tried to be useful, so we went there. They couldn't deliver the luggage because there was no one there, or no one at home. Never mind. In a few moments after we come to our hotel, we are going to get your luggage. However, I picked up the keys. So here I'm going to give you 8:15 is
Okay. Now please would you follow me? Try to walk together to the entrance. Our entrance is over there where you see the red banners. There we go in, there we go out also. Please, I ask you, walk together and wait until only with the ticket. The garden afterwards is free, but for the palace, only one.
End of our tour, but unfortunately no time to visit the extensive gardens. Another time perhaps.
Hollander, he was Hollander now, there is the change. But for 11 years he was director, very good director. And he had the idea to give the children of quality.
So we've come back to Schönbrunn, having been in the town on the coach. We're going to come back on the tube so that we can do the garden.
El laberinto, ¿no?
Podríamos ir a ver el laberinto también. O bueno,
O a la bajada, ¿no?
vamos así, porque tenemos tiempo de desayunar, ¿no?
Today is Tuesday, the 29th of June 2010. We are visiting Schönbrunn Palace and we are in the garden. This is the fountain, and a bit further up we have a sort of little mausoleum. And if you turn back on the left, this is the back of Schönbrunn that we visited this morning. There's a lot to see. We're still Tuesday, the 29th of June 2010. This is the border, we just crossed the border between Austria and the Czech Republic. This is the first village called Mikoláv or something like that. Right at the border, you can see the castle over there, and behind the castle there is a little hill with a church.
To the right hand side, pay attention, there is also a church on the island, yes. So the only, not the only, one of the ways is to get there by the boat or swimming. Yeah, but it's not a very, much practiced way how to come there. And during the winter time, sometimes I saw one winter when the lake was frozen, and then you can't walk to the church over the frozen lake. Windsurfers, yes. That's a very popular sport here, windsurfing, because there's always some wind blowing on the lake, and well, it is big enough to windsurf and small enough not to get lost. English language, those kids, the Austrian kids, spoke English language, you could communicate with them, which is wonderful, This is a Matoni, this is a mineral water. Yes, yes. And well,
we're driving through the Czech countryside on this extremely bumpy motorway. Makes the journey feel very long indeed.
Latvia coming, they are ready for us, well...
Hour and a half from the hotel,
from
Prague.
The sign says marks the road. And there is some accident on the road.
It's
So,
about 5:30 now.
We are going to
29th of the 6th.
driving through the rest of Czech Republic before we get
It is important that in 1993 Czechoslovakia split into two states, the Czech Republic and the Slovak Republic. So in 1993 Václav Havel was elected president of the Czech Republic and a lesser town on the other side of the river. And these four historical towns of Prague were united into one whole in 1784. The museum is situated on the top of the Venceslas Square, so it means just behind the National Museum, Venceslas Square, at the present time the shopping center of Prague. On your left hand side you can see modern building, you can see former radio of Free Europe, but at the present time this building belongs to National Museum, so this building is used for exhibitions. And just in front of us you can see the main train station of Prague. So if you look to the right, you can see the historical building of the main train station. So this building was designed in Art Nouveau style in building. So it means former mausoleum of communist leaders. And in front of this building, statue of Hasidic leader Jan Žižka on the horseback, which is the biggest equestrian statue in the world. On your right hand side you can see brown building or cream building. You can see the municipal museum building from the end of the 19th century. Prague, but Paris Hilton didn't stay in this hotel, in Hilton Hotel, so Paris Hilton stayed in Hotel Holiday Inn. Ivan Lendler, Jana Novotná, from I think really excellent tennis players, so all of them were born in our republic and at the present time they are living in United States. So the territory of Hunting Island was built in Hiroshima in Japan. So both buildings were built after the project of the same Czechoslovak architect. So in front of us on the top of the hill you can see again cathedral, you can see the biggest church in Prague, and you know all palaces surrounding the cathedral is the Prague Castle. Two modern buildings, Hotel President and Intercontinental Hotel. Intercontinental Hotel is 5 stars hotel, which was built in 70s of last century. And for instance, Michael Jackson, Luciano Pavarotti or Barbra Streisand stayed in Intercontinental Hotel, which you can see on the other side of the river. And ladies and gentlemen, you can see we are approaching the bridge. We are approaching bridge with yellow columns, the shortest bridge in Prague. And on the other side of the river, the old town. So it means in 1 minute we can leave your bus and we will continue this walking tour.
So, ladies and gentlemen, have a look at first this way, and on the other side of the river, on the top of the hill, you can see modern structure. You can see the red stick which is moving. So this modern structure is called metronome. Metronome was built like a symbol of exhibition in 1991. But it is important that previously, in 50s of the last century, that site was occupied by a huge statue of a Soviet communist leader Stalin. So here in Prague there was the biggest statue of Stalin in Europe, over 30 meters high. Jewish settlements on the territory of Josepov in the close vicinity of the old town square. So in these two enclosed settlements, the Jews developed their own systems of government
in the 11th century
and built their own schools and synagogues. In their hard existential struggle with the rest of the population, they suffered pogroms and were even forced to leave their homes on summer vacation. So in 1541 and 1744, the Jews were banished from the whole of Bohemia. So while the surrounding population was granted town rights, the Jews were excluded from economic and political life. Within the so if you look now this way, you can see the old synagogue, and the next building is former Jewish town hall. So the old synagogue was built in the second half of the 13th century. So the old synagogue is the oldest active synagogue in Europe. It was constructed on old foundations. And the next building is former Jewish town hall, which was built with the neighbors. But in this building was built in Baroque. So from that time there is oldest gravestone known to us, bears the year 1430.